Welcome back to Building Character, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Dungeons & Dragons. Join the Patreon for this character sheet and a whole bunch more, and like and subscribe for more students next time you play. Maybe. Today we're building Tenzin, Korra's major mentor and one of the last airbenders. He's really the only major airbender that we could build who would fully focus on airbending, which is weird. What happened to the other ones again? Right. Bummer.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
Let's start off with our goals for this build. First, we need air. Technically, almost all of the characters we build need air, but you can use it better than they do. Next, we need to move like the wind with big speed and movement to go wherever you want to go. Finally, we need martial arts, punches, kicks, and sweet-looking flips. Just because you're an old man doesn't mean you shouldn't be nimble. For stats, we'll be using the standard point array from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want, just keep your multi-classing minimums in mind. Wisdom will be number 1. If you feel the breeze, perception is important. You didn't shave your head for nothing. Dexterity next, you float like a leaf on the wind, and the leaves are famously dexterous. Intelligence after that, you know all the history of the airbenders, you're the last of them. Though I don't like saying that because it reminds me of a movie I want erased from history. Follow that up with constitution. Despite being an older guy, you hold your own pretty well in a bunch of fights. Strength is a bit low, you're athletic, but you're not hitting people with massive muscles, and will dump charisma. You're not great at recruiting for your school. And you bring bending Goku with you. That's bleak. We don't make benders genasi because they're humans and genasi aren't. But if you want to be worse and not Tenzin, go ahead and make an air genasi. Make this joke on every bender, but still get geniuses who ask why I don't use genasi. Let's compromise though. We'll go custom lineage. Grab the skill expert feat for +1 wisdom, an extra skill like perception, and expertise in a skill like acrobatics to double your proficiency bonus with it. Trust me, we're gonna get acrobatics in a second at level 1. We just have an order we go in here. Bump your wisdom even higher with your 2 free points and modify the acolyte background for religion and history instead of insight because you whiff a few insight checks, but also because you know that airbending lore. We'll kick things off as a monk, letting you grab 2 skills from the monk list like acrobatics and athletics, giving you the physical abilities that will apparently make you better at controlling the wind. You get martial arts, letting you make unarmed attacks with your dexterity modifier, dealing 1d4 bludgeoning damage, and you can make an unarmed attack as a bonus action after you attack with a monk weapon on your action. A monk weapon is any simple melee weapon without the heavy or two-handed property. You can use your dexterity modifier with those. Quarterstaff is a solid option. It's versatile, dealing 1d6 in one hand or 1d8 with 2 hands. Them airbenders sure do love their quarter staves. You can't use martial arts with armor on, so it's a good thing you get unarmored defense. Make your AC 10 plus your dexterity and wisdom modifier when you're not wearing armor, letting you use your airbending passively to keep yourself safe. Second level monks get key points they can use to do cool bender stuff like Step of the Wind, letting you dash or disengage as a bonus action and double your jump distance for a little air scooter. It's literally called Step of the Wind. Patient defense lets you dodge as a bonus action, which would give you advantage on dexterity saving throws. Those tend to be fire spells, though there aren't any major firebending villains in Korra. Flurry of Blows lets you make 2 unarmed attacks instead of 1 with your action. I always recommend a windmill kick, especially because you're a wind person. You don't need to spend key points to get unarmored movement, making you faster when you're not wearing armor. You're actually going to be very fast by the end of this, probably the fastest bender we've ever built. Third level monks get a monastic tradition, and the 4 elements monks have access to a special wind technique with the Fists of Unbroken Air. That lets you spend 2 key points to force a strength saving throw on a creature, dealing 3d10 bludgeoning damage to them and pushing them back 20 feet or knocking them prone if they fail, half as much to those that succeed, and no pushing or proning. Most wind spells don't actually deal damage, so this is a pretty nice option. You also get Deflect Missiles, letting you reduce damage from incoming ranged attacks by 1d10 plus your dexterity and monk level as a reaction, and even blast the ammo back if you drop it to 0 and don't mind spending a key point. I guess the wind just wasn't blowing their way. Was it? 4th level monks get Slow Fall, letting you reduce falling damage by 5 times your monk level as a reaction. That's not even just for elemental monks. Monks in general have a bit of airbending energy to them. You also get an ability score improvement, cap off your wisdom modifier right away for +1 AC and harder to resist wind blasts. 5th level monks get some more speed, thanks to extra attack, letting you make 2 attacks instead of 1 with your action, or up to 4 with a flurry of blows. Your monk die also bumps up to a d6, so your punches and kicks will hit a little harder. You also get a stunning strike, letting you spend a key point to force a constitution saving throw on creatures you hit with an attack, stunning them until the end of your next turn, stopping them from moving and giving you advantage on follow-up attacks. Add some extra oomph to your attack with a little backdraft, then open up a full can of non-lethal whoop-ass. This is the second time we've had a monk that gets wisdom capped before dexterity, the other being Uncle Iroh, which is kind of funny because I feel like Tenzin fills a lot of the same role that Iroh does in the original series. 6th level monks get key empowered strikes, letting you make your unarmed attacks magical in terms of overcoming resistances, wrapping your fists with with wind to break through ridiculous iron defenses. There are mechs now, you need some hurricane levels of force for that. You also get another elemental discipline. Clench of the North Wind lets you cast Hold Person, letting you hold someone up in the air that fails a wisdom saving throw. Failing that, they're paralyzed for up to a minute depending on your concentration, meaning all melee attacks against them are critical hits and they can't move or take action. Cost 3 key points and you've got a capped off wisdom modifier. I think people make the mistake of assuming wisdom is the secondary stat. You can have a lot of fun focusing wisdom first if you choose the right subclass. And yeah, I'm even saying 4 elements monk isn't that bad of a subclass if you focus on wisdom. 7th level monks get evasion, meaning you take half damage on failed dex saves and no damage on successful ones. You're gonna have absolutely bonkers dexterity saves by the end of this, so none of those panel traps will ever hit you. You could also use it outside of training if you wanted to. You also get stillness of mind, letting you remove an effect of charming or frightening as an action. Things have escalated since your dad's era. It takes some serious courage to deal with the threats of modern times. And now that we have your mobility, let's get really windy. And we're gonna do that by dipping over to Druid, letting us grab some cantrips and spells. Gust lets you push people 5 feet back that fail a strength saving throw. You could also do some sensory wind stuff like blowing out candles or knocking an object around. Pushing can be really good if your enemies are in the right spots. Guidance gives a creature a d4 for the next ability check. You're a pretty good teacher even if you're a lousy recruiter. For first level spells, Long Strider and Jump will bump your mobility even higher with 10 feet of extra movement speed or tripled jump distance. Guess which spell does which. Animal Friendship will make friends with the Sky Bison, forcing a wisdom saving throw on them and charming them for 24 hours if they fail. Nobody will be mad at you at the end of it, like Charm Person, as long as none of your allies attack the Sky Bison. Nobody would attack your bison, at least none of your friends. Thunder Wave forces a Constitution saving throw on creatures in a 15-foot cube in front of you, dealing 2d8 thunder damage and pushing them back 10 feet if they fail, half damage and no pushing if they succeed. It's a big noisy kaboom, but hey, winds be howlin', you know? You can howl at the 2nd level of Druid now thanks to Wild Shape. Tenzin can't. I don't really like making Druids that don't turn into animals because it's such a major part of the class. Still, Druids have an amazing spell list, getting up to the 9th level, they're full casting class, and yeah, also they can turn into dogs. Generally, if I'm not gonna Wild Shape, I want to choose a subclass that gives you another option, but today, we're going Circle of the Land, specifically the Grassland, since that has the windiest extra spells. You get an extra cantrip like Resistance to give a creature a d4 for saving throws. It's guidance, but defensive. You also get Natural Recovery, letting you recover half your Druid level in spell slots on a short rest. You've got 3 kids, you're not getting a lot of long rests. Mechanically speaking, key points also reset on a short rest, so you'll be pretty good to go in an hour. 3rd level Druids get 2nd level spells. You get Pass Without Trace for free, giving allies within 30 feet of you plus 10 to their stealth checks. Airbenders are definitely light on their feet. It lasts for an hour depending on your concentration. Gust of Wind is obviously a pretty good spell for an airbender, sending a 60-foot line of wind out from you, forcing a strength saving throw on creatures and pushing them 15 feet if they fail. Even if they succeed, they have to expend twice their movement speed to get through. It lasts for a minute depending on your concentration. Warding Wind is a nice defensive option, surrounding you in 10 feet of deafening wind that gives creatures disadvantage on ranged attacks against you and turns that area into difficult terrain if slowing people down sounds effective. It also lasts for up to 10 minutes depending on your concentration. A lot of concentration spells with this one, but airbenders are all about focus. 4th level Druids get an ability score improvement, bump your dexterity up for better martial arts. We fully invested in the casting modifier when we were a monk. We're getting the physical stuff as a caster. That makes sense, right? 5th level Druids can learn 3rd level spells. You get haste for free from the Grassland, doubling your movement speed, adding 2 to your AC, giving you advantage on dexterity saving throws, and an extra action to dash, disengage, hide, use an object, or make 1 more weapon attack. It lasts for a minute depending on your concentration. When it ends, you have to take a round off of actions and reactions. It can be hard to fight 3 legendary criminals at the same time. No shame in needing 6 seconds off at the end of that. Protection from energy gives a creature resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage for up to an hour depending on your concentration. Again, no evil firebenders your seasons, but a little wind would help keep that off of you. Wind Wall creates a 50-foot long, 15-foot high wall of wind, forcing a strength saving throw on creatures inside, dealing 3d8 bludgeoning damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. The big benefit is forcing ranged attacks to miss that pass through, so your whole squad can avoid arrows as well as a monk for a minute, depending on your concentration. 6th level Land Druids get Land Stride, letting you ignore difficult terrain and you can't be hurt by spikes on the ground from plants, just pushing your feet a little bit off the ground to avoid those D4s. 7th level Druids can learn 4th level spells. You get freedom of movement for free, meaning nothing can slow you down, paralyze, or restrain you, and you can break out of non-magical shackles with 5 feet of movement for an hour. It doesn't require concentration, so you can use this to make sure nobody is stopping your bonkers wind stepping speed. I actually don't really want any other spells, so just scoop up something you like at home. Druids have a ton of options. I'm just restricting Tenzin to the wind stuff for flavor. other reasons. 8th level druids get another ability score improvement. Get that dexterity modifier up. You really want to be like your dad, and your dad was very nimble. 9th level druids get 5th level spells. Control winds lets you control the wind in a 100-foot cube, either making some gusts or downdrafts, both forcing disadvantage on ranged attacks. Gusts also make a creature spend more movement speed. Downdrafts force a strength saving throw on them and knocks them prone. Or you could make an updraft, add 10 feet to everyone's vertical jump distance, which would let you jump 28 feet in the air with a step of the wind and the jump spell. That's almost flying. Other casters can fly at this point. Heck, even a pure monk would be able to fly at this point, but you do jump in. 10th level druids are nature's ward, preventing you from being charmed or frightened by elementals or fae, and you're immune to poison and disease. When all the spirits start coming through, this will stop them from scamming you. Not something I'd imagine happening though. Boomy is probably going to train Boom Jew, pull pranks on you. 11th level druids get 6th level spells. Investiture of Wind is the big airbender move, giving you a 60-foot flying speed, or more accurately, 75, thanks to your unarmored movement. Ranged attacks against you will have disadvantage, which pairs really nice with a huge flying speed, and you can fill a 15-foot cube of wind that forces a constitution saving throw on creatures inside, dealing 2d10 bludgeoning damage to those that fail, and pushing them 10 feet from the center of the cube, half damage, and no pushing if they succeed. It lasts for up to 10 minutes, depending on your concentration, and basically lets you change your whole play style for a fight. I really like the investiture spells. 12th level druids get another ability score improvement. Let's cap off your dexterity modifier for 20 base AC or 22 if you have haste up. Dodging with patient defense will make you even harder to hit than a helicopter seed is to catch. Our capstone is the 13th level of druid, giving you 7th level spells like Whirlwind, the ultimate airbender technique. It creates a 10-foot radius, 30-foot high cylinder, forcing a dexterity saving throw on creatures inside, dealing 10d6 bludgeoning damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. If they're large or smaller, they have to make a strength saving throw, or they're restrained and pulled 5 feet higher every round. They can use their action to make another strength or dexterity check against your spell save to break out, but even if they do, they're thrown 3d6 times 10 feet in a random direction. Personally, I think if they hit a wall, they should take fall damage, but that's just me. I like this spell, and I want it to be better. Now that we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable this build is. First, you're fast with extra movement from unarmored movement and buffs from haste and investiture of wind to get you where you need to go, not to mention slowfall to keep you safe. You've also got a great base AC with 20 and 22 with haste, not to mention patient defense to give creatures disadvantage to hit you. Finally, you're great at controlling enemy mobility with gusts of wind, or hold person to stop anyone from going anywhere. For weaknesses, you're lacking charisma, which means that if you're trying to get more benders to join you, you could have some issues. You also have too many concentration spells, and you can only have one up at a time, even if all of them are very fun. Finally, your concentration isn't great with only +1 to the save, meaning that you're going to get bullied into dropping spells pretty regularly. But that's assuming anyone's going to be able to hit you. Dive in and dive out, get creative with enemy positioning, and keep yourself safe to get home to your family. Just make sure that you're staying a little out of the fray. You want your villains over there, not over here. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe for more. We make 2 videos every week. Join the Patreon for this character sheet and a whole bunch more, and sub to Tulok and Mango for more Tulok fun.